Yes, sir, we're speeding.
Okay. I think it's amazing. That's the same Lester Maddox that appointed you chair of the Judicial Commission that used to keep black people out of his restaurant with an axe handle. That's amazing to me.
Yes, yes it is. Yes it is.
And what I'd like for you to comment on is something you're famous for, using your skill at the Georgia legislature to help a world figure, Muhammad Ali. How did you aid and assist him in returning to the ring?
That is okay. I'm sorry, I got to look at you. Okay, but that's one of the things that I think that is at the top of my list in terms of my personal contribution. I was sitting in my office and I got a call from a fellow by the name of Harry Pett. He had a son-in-law in New York who was in the boxing area business. And he had called Harry Pett and said that some 56 cities had turned Ali down. He could not get a license to box. And if Harry Pett knew anybody in Atlanta who could get a license for Ali, Harry Pett told me that he said to his son-in-law, well, I don't know anybody, but I'm going to call a black fella by the name of Senator Leroy Johnson and ask him if he knows anyone. See? So I got a call from Harry Pett asking me if I knew anybody or if I could get a license for Ali to fight in Atlanta. My answer to him was, I'm not sure, but let me call you back in a couple of days and give you an answer. So I had the people in my law firm to search the law to find out if there was any law in Georgia dealing with boxing commission. To my surprise, there was not a law in Georgia dealing with the question of boxing or dealing with a boxing commission. If there's no state law, then what will govern in Georgia would be the municipal law, the area in which you live, like Atlanta or Savannah or Macon or what have you. But it would be that law that would apply. So when I saw that, I called Harry Pett and said, Harry, I can get a license for Ali to fight in Atlanta. So he says, well, let me talk to my son-in-law. So he talked to his son-in-law. His son-in-law called me, and we made arrangements for him to come down, and we met at the hotel, one of the hotels by the airport. And we sat there for 6 or 7 hours, and we talked about putting together a contract. And we did agree on a contract. And my job was to get a license for him to practice. I mean, for him to box in Atlanta. The hurdle I had to overcome was I had to get the city council, the mayor, to agree. And then I had to get the governor of the state to agree. Then I had to have a place for the license for the boxing match to take place. So the first thing I did was to go to the city council. And it just so happens that the members of the city council were my friends. Marvin Arrington, Q.B. Williamson, Jackson, Kasakas, all the fellas on the city council I knew. And I met with each one of them and told them what I wanted to do. I wanted to get a license for Ali. They all agreed to help me. The next step was to go to the mayor, who was Sam Massell. Well, Sam Massell was my friend. I had helped him get elected. And we had a good relationship. So I went to the mayor, Massell, and told him that I wanted to get a license for Ali. But the first thing he said to me is that, oh no, he says, that is just awful. He says, the White Citizen Council, the Ku Klux Klan, says two harder issues. It's just, if we agreed to do that, we're gonna have problems. So I let him finish, and then I said, Sam, there's an old saying in politics that politicians consider to be a truism. He said, what is that? I said, that saying is that you dance with the one who brung you. That is the basis of politics. See? So, so Sam, Sam stopped for a moment, and he said, Leroy says, I think you're right, because I owe you one. He says, on with the fight, and anything I can do to help you, let me know. But he said to me, it's not, I will assist you, but you're probably going to be with the governor. I said, Sam, thank you. See? So I had the city council member, and I had the mayor. And the next thing was the governor. Well, before I went to the governor, I called Carl Sanders, who was the governor of the state when I got elected in '63. And I said, it's Governor Sanders. I said, here's the opportunity I have. I got an opportunity to get Ali get a license for Ali so he can fight in Atlanta. I say, but some 56 cities have turned him down. This is going to be a tough job. I say, but before I go to see the governor, I wanted you to know what I was doing, and I need your assistance. I may need your assistance somewhere down the line. And Carl Sanders said to me, Leroy, we go back a long way, and if I can do anything to help you, I will. But your problem is going to be with Maddox. See, I said, okay. So the next day, after talking to Carl Sanders, then I went to see Maddox. And I sat in his office, and I said, Governor, I need to talk to you about a problem that I'm having. Now, just before I talked to Maddox, the week before I went to see Maddox, Maddox's son had been arrested in DeKalb County for, I think, stealing things that go on a car. What do you call it? Some misdemeanor, but hubcap. Stealing hubcaps from a car. See? They had his trial 2 days before I went to see Maddox. And the governor in DeKalb County said to, the judge in DeKalb County said to Maddox's son, after going through all the evidence, said, every man deserves a second chance. So instead of sending you to jail, I'm going to have you to report back to the court on the weekends. And, but there'd be no jail sentence, but every man deserves a second chance. And so he worked out something where Maddox's son would report to the courthouse on a certain day each week, a certain day each for several weeks. But that was it. So when I sat there talking to Maddox, I told him I want to get a license for Ali to fight in Georgia. I told him that Ali the only thing that he knew to do was to fight, that he did not want to go on welfare. Well, Maddox was opposed to welfare. And I said, after talking to him a period of time, I said, Governor, every man deserves a second chance. And I think that had alienated, that had something to do with his thinking, because when I said that, he looked at me and said, Senator, on with the fight. Mm-hmm. So I said, thank you, Governor. I walked out of his office. Harvey Murray from the WSB was outside. He said, Senator, what did the governor say? I said, the governor said, on with the fight. So the Atlanta Journal had big headlines that the governor said on with the fight that evening. And by 8:30 or 9 o'clock, somebody shot in my window. And I learned the next day that the White Citizen Council had sent letters to Maddox and had also sent letters to the state capitol, they sent it to his home and to the state capitol, telling him that they were opposed to Ali fighting in Atlanta. See? So the next day, Maddox reneged on his promise and told the Constitution that Ali would not fight in Georgia. He had reversed his position. So I called Carl Sanders and I said, Governor, we have a problem. Maddox has reversed his position. He says that that the fight will not take place, that Ali will not fight in Atlanta. I says, I don't know what we're going to do now. So Carl Sanders said to me, let me give some thought to it and I'll call you back. Well, Carl Sanders had appointed the Attorney General. And when he left office, the Attorney General was still in office, and Maddox kept the Attorney General that Carl Sanders had appointed. So Carl Sanders talked with the Attorney General. And as a result of the talking with the Attorney General, he called me back and said, Senator, read the papers in the morning, I think you'll be satisfied with it. The Attorney General, who was Attorney General under Maddox but was appointed by Carl Sanders, said that the governor had no authority to stop the fight because Georgia had no laws on its books dealing with the boxing matches, dealing with the fight and boxing matches, and Georgia had no boxing commission. That the only person who could stop the fight would be the municipality where the fight is being held, and that's the city of Atlanta, the mayor, and the city council. So when that came up, it came in the Constitution the next day, Maddox was asked by the papers and others, what are you going to do? And Maddox's answer was that I'm not going to fight with the Attorney General. So that cleared the way with the governor's office. That means that we could then put the fight on in Atlanta. I then called Harry Pett and told Harry Pett that we had, okay now, we could get the fight. Ali was originally supposed to fight with Frazier. And Frazier, manager, a fellow named Durham, had told me, so we went to Durham. We went to Philadelphia to see Durham. And I called Marvin Arrington, asked Marvin Arrington to go with me to Philadelphia, and he said, okay. So we flew to Philadelphia. We talked to Durham. And Durham said that, I don't believe you can put him in, you can have him to fight in Atlanta, because too many states, 50 or more, had said no, he will never fight. They said the only way we would agree to have Frazier to fight him, that you put him in an exhibition fight before the time of the real fight. And if you do that, we will consider Frazier fighting him, because Frazier was the one that they wanted. So we left there, we came back to Atlanta, and that was our task. How can we put him in the ring before the main fight? We had only one place in Atlanta was large enough, and that was the City Auditorium. We didn't have the facility that we have now in Atlanta. We didn't have the dome or anything like that. We had the City Auditorium. The City Auditorium would hold only 5,000 people. So I said to Jesse Hill, I said, Jesse, we don't want to go to put an exhibition downtown because the White Citizen Council, the Ku Klux Klan will attack us, and we never get the fight in Atlanta. We got to have the exhibition someplace where we can say that the White Citizen Council and Ku Klux Klan will not come. So we get into thinking, where can we have it? And I thought about Morehouse College. The president of Morehouse College then was Hugh Gloster. Hugh Gloster was my personal friend. So I called Hugh Gloster and said, Hugh, we can put Ali into the ring if we can have a place where we can have an exhibition fight. Can we have it in Morehouse? And Hugh says, Senator, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. He called me back in less than 10 minutes and says, you can have it here at Morehouse. You can have a exhibition fight here at Morehouse. I said, okay. So we went back to Philadelphia and talked to Durham. And Durham says, yeah, I told you that, but I don't believe it's going to happen. So you're not going to be able to fight with Frazier. And he reneged on his promise in terms of having Frazier. So I came back, called my people in New York and told them what had happened. They said, we have to get somebody else. So we got Quarry. And Quarry became the person who would fight with Clay, with Ali rather, at the time. Even when we had the exhibition at Morehouse, and Ali fought 2 people at the exhibition, and had a long line of other people who fought at the exhibition. But even after we did that, Durham, who was the manager of Frazier, said, no, we're not going to have Frazier fight him. So we set October the 25th, 1970, for the fight at the City Auditorium with Quarry. When the fight came, 5,000 people only could go to the fight itself. We had fights on the screen in other places, but at the auditorium we held only 5,000 people. But on October the 26th, 1970, we were successful in Ali fighting Quarry, which was the fight that returned him to the ring. And of course, after that, he became again the world champion. But that's how we got that fight, and that's the process we had to go through to get it. But it was one of the things that I think that was at the top of my list of appreciation. The things that I had a role in doing was getting that fight for Ali. And that's it, Councilman.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us or put on the record? Anything at all? Doesn't matter what subject.
Let's see. That,
One second, let me swap it. That one is closer to your face, I apologize.